first is in Doha after talks in Saudi Arabia. So it looks like Germany's Merz is heading to Saudi Gulf in quest for new parts and all along those lines. So a lot's going on. I'm gonna bring in Rick Rosner, see what he's got going on in his world and all along those lines. But a lot is definitely taking place and all in that way. So always glad to have these conversations and seeing what folks have got to say about a number of these stories as they take place. Looks like I might have frozen, so I'm going to see if I can't bring them in the other way and all along those lines. So folks will hold on just 1 second. We'll try to see what's going on here and then bring our panelists in and all along those lines. So hold on 1 second and we'll be right back with more great news and all in that space. So hold on just 1 second while I go to alternative plan and everything like that. So always good to have a backup plan in life. That is just one of those things it's always good to have. Hold on just 1 second and we'll see if we can't get these things going in the other way and all in that way. So hold on and we'll see what other news stories folks have got on their minds all in that space. So if we hold on, we're going to see what folks have got on their minds and what they're going to be talking about and all in that kind of way. So definitely always good to have these conversations.
So let me take the other one
out.
Hold on. Take the other one out. If I can. Take that one out. All right, so we got that one out. I'm gonna bring in Rick Rosner and also Dr. Sharif. Gotta love technology, and we've also got Sasha Starr that has joined us as well. So, and Nick Palveda has finally joined the party as well. So we got all the great folks here and all in that space. So hold on 1 second. Take that off. Put that on silent.
So this is a small dumb controversy, but it's getting a lot of play in the media. Super Bowl on Sunday, halftime performer Bad Bunny. MAGA doesn't like this because Bad Bunny, he speaks English and Spanish. They don't like it. He's from Puerto Rico. They don't like that, even though Puerto Rico is part of the United States. Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens. So MAGA is having an alternate Super Bowl halftime show headlined by Kid Rock. Kid Rock is 55. He hasn't had an album break the Billboard Top 200 since 2017. Also, people are pointing out he has a song about pedophilia and statutory rape, that he likes them underage. Some say it's statutory, I say it's mandatory, and they're attacking Kid Rock and the whole MAGA for being pedophile tolerant. So there's a little bit of that bullshit going on. Sasha maybe has some more important news than just our Super Bowl. And also Dr. Sharif.
Well said. This Super Bowl, to me personally, it's non-event. It's something that it's the least something that I would care about one way or another. I don't want to offend anybody who is following the Super Bowl and who is going to bet on Super Bowl, or like Mark suggested yesterday, to invest in Super Bowl. Good luck to all these people. God bless them. Something more important than this, almost anything more important than this. For example, yesterday I came across quite a novel idea, at least for me, that Steve Bannon suggested, that Trump would bring this ICE in November to all the election polls. So that would prevent Democrats to make their votes, and that will guarantee the victory for Republican Party. That suggestion by Bannon, it doesn't mean that's what exactly will happen. However, If it will happen, then I don't rule it out 100%. I think there is a 50-50 chance that it will happen. What Democrats are able to do about it? Anybody?
I mean, hopefully Nick can say what they can do, but I imagine they will take it to the courts. But we do know that the courts are heavily influenced by Republican people and all along those lines. But maybe Nick has got some ideas. I'm sure people will try to make an effort to stop it politically, just like they're going to try to stop him nationalizing the elections in 15 states and everything like that, because he's already looking at that. You got the Mickey Mouse thing going on, Nick. You got the Mickey Mouse thing going on. I know the Muppets are in Disney, but right now you got the Muppet thing going. You sound like Miss Piggy.
So to tell us the truth, Mark, I don't see any remedies. When you will take it to court, it will take 2-3 years to solve it. And I mean, and there will be presidential election already, and they will do the same thing for presidential election as well. Presidential election, midterm elections, and this court with this ruling may not even happen because some judges may pass away, so they will have to elect new judges to Supreme Court. So that's not a remedy.
Well, see, the problem with the polls, can they go to the polls? The answer is yes. But the problem is the polls are regulated by state law, and there's a certain amount of distance that you have to be between yourself and the polls. So they can't just go inside and be at the polls, but could they stand outside? Sure they could, just like the Democrats and Republicans currently stand outside. If you ever go to a U.S. poll, I get handed materials from the Democrats and Republicans all the time right before I vote, but they all have to stay a certain distance away from the polls under state law. So could he send ICE to the polls? Sure. Will they have to stay away? Absolutely. And that's just it. Will it be intimidating for the illegals? Yes. What about the legal people? I don't think they'll care. But go on.
Oh, really? Some of them are being killed in the middle of the day. They do care now. People do care. They're being killed mercilessly right on the spot. They're dead. That's it. Now, this coming now not from Bannon. That's coming from Trump.
Oh, yeah, they're all being killed.
Trump saying is that Republicans have to take control of the elections. States are agents of federal government. States cannot do anything about elections. They're just agents of federal government. So therefore, Republicans will take complete control of the election. Full stop, period. There is nothing will change it.
It'll be exciting, but the thing is, it is what it is. I mean, they have every right to be there, just like the Democrats have the right to be there. Sorry.
Sasha, I was just talking to a friend of mine earlier today. She is seriously considering, and her husband might even be considering joining her, coming to your country because she's tired of the Trump nonsense and all along those lines. So she is seriously considering about moving to Canada. And I've heard this from a couple of folks, but I was talking to this longtime friend of mine and co-worker earlier today and everything. So what do you think about this notion of people thinking about moving to Canada? I did remind her that Trump is thinking about turning Canada into the United States and kind of annexing Canada, but she's thinking about moving there just to escape the nonsense and everything. So what is your take on this? Just to let you know, her husband is a pretty well-known football player. I think he played in the NFL. He definitely was well-known at UNC because he played with the great Lawrence Taylor and all along those lines. But I was just wondering, what are your thoughts about her kids are grown, so they don't have to come with her. But if she decides to come with her husband, assuming that they're coming as a couple and moving to Canada. So your take on people moving to Canada to escape the nonsense?
Well, it's not just escaping nonsense. It's a question.
There's so many people that are thinking about doing stuff.
If people care to stay alive, they have to sell everything in the United States, if they can, because a lot of things you cannot even sell anymore. But if you can, grab everything what you can, take a U-Haul, put everything in there, and run, baby, run. Run for your life.
And you're running
go to Canada, go to Albania, go anywhere that is American friendly. to non-MAGAs, right? But I guess it's not going to be worth standing up and fighting for. Has anyone been watching the hearings with Miss Martinez, Miriam? I can't pronounce her first name, but Miriam Martinez, who was shot 5 times by a ICE agent. She was in Chicago, just driving through her community. She noticed ICE was there, so she did warn people, but she did not impede. She was not impeding. She was just warning people. And neighbors, they're not all illegals, but she was actually on her way to deliver clothes to a charitable organization, to church. And the ICE agent got mad at her, ran her down. So to me, now he's not doing his job. He's not staying focused on his job. He runs her down on a highway, rams her car, gets out and shoots her 5 times, then texts and brags about it. I shot her 5 times. She has 7 holes in her body. Now, she lived.
And he bragged about it online.
Right. He bragged about it to his friends. He bragged about it. But what's interesting to me was the Noam and her intelligent crew said that the woman rammed her car into his. But they somehow or another unalived their own car, like they disappeared their own car. They made it disappear, the evidence and everything. It just got shipped to somewhere else. But her car shows that it was rammed, that she wasn't ramming anyone, that her car was rammed. But the evidence from their side, so they said she was a terrorist, arrested her while she's bleeding to death. In fact, he didn't call 911. She had to call 911. He shot and was bragging about probably killing her, and he never called 911. She pulled away and called 911. What is wrong with this? What is wrong with this?
There are a lot of things wrong. Let's start first of all with the whole idea about rounding legal and illegal immigrants and make all these horrible actions and killing people. Yesterday, I was watching a very interesting program on CNN. It's a show with Abbott Phillips, I think your name. She's normally she has 2 panels. One is Democrats and one is Republicans, and they are talking about different issues. And one of them, of course, was this ICE issue. What's interesting thing that they were produced documents showing an enormous level of financial contribution of immigrants, all legal and illegal alike, to American economy. It's unparalleled. They're paying taxes in full. They are not looking for loopholes. And okay, maybe in 20 years, they will become Americanized and they will become the same shit like all other Americans. That's quite possible. So they will start skipping on taxes because America is a nation of tax evaders. That's why they wanted to separate from England and to avoid paying taxes. And it runs into the blood of all Americans. And the more Americanized these immigrants will be in 20, 25 years, the less taxes they will start paying, and they will avoid, and they will get expensive tax lawyers and so on. But before that, they are paying every penny. They're not skipping on taxes. So why would you try to get rid of people who are doing jobs that no American can do? Americans have 2 left hands. They are not capable to do the basic manual jobs. That's why you need as immigrants, and that's why you have immigrants, and they're building the country, not your stupid people who will finish some kind of university, will go collect unemployment or some stamps or some other garbage, and will then have their children who will do exactly the same thing. You don't have workforce. Even the ones that you have is impossible to do anything with it. Trump said that he drummed up $17 trillion of investments to do manufacturing jobs in U.S. Where is the money? Where is the manufacturing jobs? You don't have anybody to do manufacturing jobs. So if Japan will invest $1 trillion, Japan might as well bring their workforce. Oh, but they can't because you put them in jail, right? Because the papers were not right or so on. So even if somebody will come to help you, you will send them to jail and then back to their countries. It's a losing proposition until we get rid of the criminal in charge of the stupid idiot who is ruling the country. Let's call a spade, okay?
There you
I
go.
hear you. Speaking of calling a spade, Kim, I got a question for you because I heard, and I know you've been following the Epstein trials, and we're going to have this lovely special that you're doing next week and everything along those lines. But apparently, Mr. Patel has recently said that there is no credible evidence that Epstein was trafficking minors, even though there was a lot of minors on Epstein Island and all along those lines. And then the other thing that I heard, there was a crazy statement, was apparently one of the members of the administration, it might have been Rubio or one of the other ones, and one of the talk show hosts was picking on this, was trying to challenge the Pope on religious doctrine because he was trying to make this notion that the whole immigration conversation is protected by some of the verses within the Bible and all along those lines. So he's trying to quote the Bible to make their argument because, you know, Jesus is supposed to be the friend of the right, according to some people, and all along those lines. So what's your take on these thoughts and some of these crazy quotes that are coming from the administration?
FBI estimates that 1,000 girls and young women were victimized in the Epstein pedophile ring over a period of 20 years. So Kash Patel is contradicted by the very agents that he's in charge of.
Yeah, Kash Patel has only one person he serves, and it's not the people, right? He serves Trump, and he serves to protect him because his job relies on it. But one of the things I noticed in the court records and the files is the amount of wealthy, influential people. Okay. And only one person in all the 20 years that they've had evidence of this happening, 20 years of this happening, and that's the evidence. Okay. This has been going on for 30 years. But if you take a look at, since they've had strong evidence to support that sex trafficking was occurring among the wealthy like this, they could have put away a lot of men by now, but they chose not to. And if you look at the fact that, you know, even since Epstein's death, but if you go back to his first trials or investigations, they've had evidence for over 20 years and only one woman is in jail. One person, and it's a woman.
Right.
No one else is being accounted for these crimes, no accountability whatsoever. And you have to ask why. Why is she the only goat that they are sacrificing? Why, you know, they're going to sacrifice a goat. That's how this cult works, the pedophile cult. But why is she the only scapegoat? And to me, I hate saying this, but to me, she's the smartest person in the whole ring. Do you know why?
Why is that?
She's the only one that is still alive and has testified.
Yeah, that's true.
Other than the victims, but even the most strongest victim they had that was voicing the most, she's dead. They claim, you know, everyone still claims suicide, but I beg to differ. But Ghislaine Maxwell has all the knowledge. She knows everything that happened. She was there. I'm not going to say in the very beginning that Epstein and Trump was doing all of their weird stuff. But she was there very close to the beginning. She helped probably mastermind a lot of it. She was even went and got her helicopter pilot license so that she could fly the helicopter back and forth from the island to the main islands. And here she is still alive, and she has everything. She knows everything. The only other person that is more intelligent than her is the bookkeepers. They know everything, because I always say, if you want to get down to the bottom line of the crime and have the evidence, follow the money. And the bookkeeper's testimony, which I read, and or deposition, however you want to look at it, or interrogation, was pretty phenomenal. The bookkeeper stated that they would house 200 girls at one time. That girls would come and go because they would bring in new girls all the time, but from all over the world. This should be an international investigated crime. Every country should be involved in investigating this. Jean-Luc Purnell, who was Epstein's partner in other countries, was found dead in his cell. So I'm surprised that Ghislaine's still alive. But to me, that means that maybe she might have been more of the mastermind than anyone gave her credit for. But
she may have some secret documents that are somewhere tucked away. I mean, the madam is still alive. The madam that had that secret book and all along those lines, and Miss Maxwell is still alive. So they may have some leverage that they are exercising when they need to exercise that leverage. So they may have some things that haven't been revealed and everything. Hey, Nick, you earlier brought up
one interesting fact that a lot of people don't know about Ghislaine is she came from a very prominent, very wealthy, excessively wealthy family and background, powerful family. But her father was murdered or assassinated, however you want to look at it. And she kind of went into, I'm not saying big hiding because we knew who she was, but she was in the big socialite crowd. Everyone knew her. So maybe she just holds more power than people know. But she comes from this excessively wealthy family. Epstein was there right after her father was killed. So, yeah.
Tim, you're talking about Maxwell, right?
Yeah, Ghislaine.
Her father was a crook.
Yeah, well, he was a very, very
big crook.
Very big, powerful crook. I'm not going to say he was good. I'm going to say it was a very wealthy, prominent.
Yeah, they were definitely a wealthy family. Hey, Nick, earlier you brought up this notion of Canada being broke. I put it up there briefly. I know Sasha probably doesn't agree.
Let Sasha know that Canada is having tremendous financial problems because the tariffs are sticking it up their rear, which is one reason the Canadians hate us right now.
Could be. I don't have a problem with that. Canada has its own path that after so many years, depending on the United States, treating it as the partner, the business partner, so on. Now, with the Trump's tariffs and his attitude of making Canada 51st state, calling prime ministers governors, or so on, now it became clear that the status quo is no longer available. So therefore, Canada has to look for another opportunities, which is doing quite successfully all over the world, including European Union, China, South Korea, Japan, and so on. But it will take time. There are certain pipelines have to be built. Certain trade routes have to be perfected, and so on. But Canada is doing its job, and that's the only thing, unless you will lie down under Trump and spread your legs wide enough. That's the only alternative Canada has. There is no other alternative. Now, speaking about back to this.
I want to say something real funny to that. Are you saying that everyone should comply or die?
No, I'm not saying it has to comply. No, absolutely not. Actually, it may not even help you, even if you spread your legs wide enough. Okay, it may work for 8 to 10 minutes, but that's about it. And
comply and die. Comply and die.
It may not to satisfy your master. Oh, you spread your legs. It's not wide enough. go to hell. So what you would do in this case. So it's not a strategy. It's
No.
Well, your real estate is still pretty expensive. I was thinking it collapsed, so I was looking as an opportunity to buy some properties in Canada, and you guys are still too expensive.
no, Toronto went down quite
Yeah,
significantly.
but not that much.
Okay, it's
More
not cheap.
expensive than America.
It depends where in America, and also depends where in Canada, because I don't want to live in some cold little town,
Yeah,
in the middle of nowhere. So
yeah, somewhere in Labrador,
yeah, Labrador, yeah,
which is not too far from Greenland, by the way. So
Yeah.
once Greenland will become part
cheap
of
properties
America,
are available in
it'll be good.
Newfoundland, and cheap properties available in Intuit.
Is that a boat ride to Greenland? That,
You know,
I mean, I
well,
was
yeah, the
looking at
question is,
taking boat rides from Canada to Greenland. That looks
well, Greenland would be okay. It's going to be part of the United States someday, so I don't have any problems with that. The problem is there's
You know
no
why,
good real
right?
estate investment. Yeah, because we're just going to take it
you
over.
know why Trump wants it, right? Because
it's a
Greenland
big
gave up
island. It'll
their
increase the size of America. It'll make America great again. You have all
Right.
sorts of reasons to take over Greenland.
yeah, it's
But notice we don't want Puerto Rico, even though we have it.
Greenland is full of minerals, but you have to look at what Trump is doing and the mindset of why he's doing these things. And, you go, well, he really doesn't have a mind, but he's a crook, right? He's a crook. And there's a reason behind everything he does. There's just.
I wouldn't give him that much credit, but go on.
No, I'm not going to say he's successful because he is so chaotic and knee-jerking.
Mm-hmm.
He never puts anything to plan. No, I want to tell you this right now. The real genius in the Trump and Epstein files is Epstein. Epstein was 100% certified genius. And Nick, he played chess. He loved chess so much, he had a chessboard made of he being the king, and I don't know who the queen was, and each pawn was one of the little girls.
Oh my Lord!
All right, so okay, let's go back to Greenland for a sec.
They were the models.
I got to remind people that Trump did not negotiate with Greenland, didn't negotiate with Denmark, announced victory for something that we already had since 1951.
Thank you.
We've had a treaty that entitles us to set up as many bases in Greenland as we want. And at the end of World War II, we had 17 bases. In the 1950s, we had more than 20 bases. Now we're down to one base because strategically, Greenland's not as important anymore. But if we want to set up a bunch of bases again, fine. If you want the minerals, good luck. Greenland has issued 140 licenses to mine and explore. Only 2 of those licenses have been exercised because Greenland is under a mile of ice.
Rick, you don't understand that if America would own Greenland, then its United States would issue licenses to themselves, to anybody who cares about this license or so on. Not Greenland, not Denmark. United States would issue licenses, and then they would make propositions of the African countries that they would like to own them, and then they will bring prosperity and money and everything else. Coming back to Epstein files, don't forget that the Putin has a big role in this business. And apparently that was a mechanism of supplying Putin with all kind of information that he needs on all prominent people, including Trump and others. And also, Putin was sending Russian girls to Epstein, and actually some of them were not medically clean, and insert some
we have learned, right?
I did check
so we learned, but you know who else that I believe is really quite infiltrated in this now is when you need to traffic people like this, whether it's people or girls or whatever, owning schools and maybe filtering them through schools is a good way to do it, which is what Mike Johnson did with a known pedophile. but also hotels, right? You can't get any better than using hotels to traffic drugs through if you own them, or people. Well, Trump, he only owns a few towers, but he partnered with Hilton. He partnered with Hilton, and Trump Towers are partnered together. And what better way to house and traffic people, whether it's children or whatever, is now you have unlimited access to a lot of hotels that are probably not being used a lot. You know which ones you can use easily and which ones you can't because you own them now. But what a way to traffic, right? I mean, I'm
Okay.
just
I would have
all out there throwing it.
with so many pedophiles in U.S. government. Why don't you remove pedophiles from criminal code and just make it normal thing? Okay, so some people like younger people, some people even younger, or so on. Why should I don't understand that.
Well, because we have so many pedophiles in office right now that participated either with the Trump and Epstein businesses or, independently on their own, but they're all there. And like I said, the pedophile industry is $1 trillion industry. And it is funny because I think it was Bannon that was caught on video the other day at some hearing testifying, and he literally said we need to stop attacking the pedophiles. This was not AI edited. I checked it a few times. I'm going to recheck it again. But you've got all of these people who do nothing but cover up and protect them because it's a $1 trillion business.
Is it
The
in
banking
the United States or worldwide, Kim, or do you know?
It is worldwide. And, Epstein, when he was behind bars for 13 months, they gave him a, day pass to go work all day. And, he was working behind the law. So everybody thought this must be, legit. And he generated more money from the business with Jean-Luc Brunel working with him because that was who visited him daily. And so he had work release and daily they went. So for 13 months, he generated more money probably than he did his lifetime because as he walked out of those gates, he purchased another island. He purchased a second island. He purchased several more helicopters for Ghislaine and several more planes and a few more mansions. Okay. And he already owned a boatload of mansions. I'm just saying.
How do you make money at that business? You're talking about.
It's $1 trillion business. Sex
I know, but how do you make
trafficking.
money? What do you do? Because islands and helicopters are expensive.
No, so every one of his clients, Epstein stepped up and said billionaires only. And every one of his clients had contracts. And those contracts, he would either take over whatever they owned or whatever, but he had them all incorporate charities and nonprofits. Okay. Right. And they were processing, it was like laundering money to me when looking at some of the banks. They were processing millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on a second, Kim. But Nick asked a legit. Yeah, Nick asked a legitimate question, and I think the legitimate answer is that they are selling. It is human trafficking. They are literally selling those girls for the money and all along those lines. So that's how they're making money. So that's how they're making.
Isn't that illegal?
Well,
totally
it is
illegal.
unless you're behind bars and everybody thinks it must be legal. But so many prominent people, he figured it out. He figured it out, and that's why he went to billionaires only. But they were giving him, like Les Wexner, they transmitted millions of dollars between each other. But Les Wexner, founder of Victoria's Secrets, gave Epstein his first home, gave Epstein full power of attorney over his businesses and his personal life. Full power of attorney. And Epstein's never had a college degree to back up credentials to manage anything like that. Never. So and then he gave Epstein his first original hub, but by working and being in charge of all of that for Les Wexner, that was the calling card for Trump and Epstein. They would just tell families, because they, don't you want your daughter to become a model with Victoria's Secrets? They had that junior line, right? And of course they did. That's a big. I know people here in North Carolina. They wanted their girls to go work for Victoria's Secret. So I
No.
mean, it's yeah, because you think it's a legit business, but what they were doing, they didn't really go after the true models. But what they did is they used it as a calling card to make it look legit.
Well, speaking about money, don't forget about the auctions for the girls. And one of the most successful auctioneer was no one else but Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He was selling these girls like for extraordinary prizes. He would bring
All right, well, hold on. All right, you do.
$100,000 and it would go up to $5 million in no
All right,
time.
but to be taken seriously, you have to distinguish between the legitimate, well-founded accusations and the tips that lunatics called into the FBI.
Right. Exactly. You have to filter through all of that, and that's why the court records are and the Epstein files are millions and millions of pages, and then they have to verify and validate what is can be really used as evidence or not. And that is a lot of work, just filtering through the lunatics that called in. But hear me out on this. It may have every once in a while made the news, but it was never publicized like it is today. So there wasn't lunatics back then calling in. There were real valid leads being called in because it wasn't as publicized.
Sure, back in 2003, it's much more likely that it was the tips were legit. By the time you get to 2016, 2019, 2020, then there's more loonies who've seen the.
I think by 2023 it became a problem but there was already an investigative case going on in I think right after Epstein died by the what used to be the prosecutor and attorney general on the Virgin Islands, but she got fired right after she filed it because it was going to incriminate even the governors from everywhere. So but that case file is big. It's as new and current as 2023 that I've been reading, maybe even more current now because there were people logging in and redacting data as of last June and July. But there are cases that are still alive. But to me, the most prominent case was the one in 2006 to 2008. That one exposed a lot of people.
Well, over here in Europe, Lord Mendelsohn hits the news all the time because apparently Lord Mendelsohn was involved with Jeffrey. He had to resign from his position, and then the Prince Andrew also got kicked out of the royal family for being involved.
And what do we do in America? We make the head pedophile a president.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't understand this logic.
We do have reports. I saw that Bill Gates went to Jeffrey Epstein to look for STD solutions or something like that. If that is true, that's pretty damaging to a guy who's that smart and that powerful to fall into a Russian babe trap.
Well, it wasn't just Russia girls. They were bringing girls in from France. They were bringing girls in from Romania. Romania was a big hit back in 2008 through probably 2012 when they started shutting down some of those things. But 2010, the Romania trafficking of girls became really the activity was big. I'm sure it's been big a long time, but just the documentation of it. Like Matt Gaetz was busted for sex trafficking teenagers with Joel.
But was Matt Gaetz involved in Jeffrey Epstein, or was he just doing it as a side?
Well, so you can tie it together if you look at the timeline. So that's what happened. I started exposing more and more as I started looking at the timeline, who could really be tied together or who was working. But that's what happened. You had all these little independent things going on, and squirrel. squirrel, and nobody was like timelining. How could you tie all this together? So one day I did that. I just started timelining all of this stuff. And I noticed, there's Matt Gaetz in 2010 timeframe with Joel Greenberg. That was a Romania sex trafficking and drug trafficking incident. Joel went to prison. And then you had
But
Erica Kirk and Trump were doing business together, and then she went and opened up her charity in Romania at the same time. Well, at the same time she opened up her charity in Romania, Mike Johnson and pedophile Judge Pressler, who was busted for pedophile activities with little boys many times, and Mike Johnson came to his aid. Those two opened up a Christian private school, that would house students, but it never taught a class. It was just the two of them opening up this school.
Was it run by Somalians? Is that what it is?
No. Actually, the Somalians was ran by that whole scheme was ran by Amy, who was a white woman, right? That was a $250 million scam by a white woman. But no, the school, it was a Christian private school because they came from the Southern Baptist Convention, where Pressler was busted raping little boys. So then, Mike worked on the ethic committees there and did settlements. And then him and Pressler ran off, and around 2010 opened up this school. Well, Erica Kirk opened up the charity in Romania that lured girls with little toys. And at the same time, Epstein is walking out of his first jail sentence. He spent 13 months and he was coming out at that same time. I'm coming out with more money to operate. I have Jean-Luc Brunel, on my side. And now I have Romania feeding us all of these beautiful little girls. Trump and Erica have the charity. And then, but what was interesting was 2012, Mike Johnson's school shut down for fraud. And Erica Kirk's charity in Romania shut down under suspicion of whatever. So, yeah. So then all of that kind of shut down. I'm not going to say that
shut down.
Romania shut down, but you had a lot going on, and all of that kind of occurred not long after Joel Greenberg went to prison. So who knows? Maybe he ratted out some of the people and activities.
He might have ratted out some of the folks. By the way, we got a couple of other stories I wanted to get to.
Tie it together.
A couple of other stories that I wanted to get to, and I know you're going to do that great special and everything along those lines. But and this one, I know Rick will enjoy. Apparently, your next coworker might be generated by AI. So OpenAI on Thursday today said is launching a service called Frontier for companies to build and manage so-called artificial intelligence agents or AI tools that can complete specific tasks like fixing a software bug. So the next person you hire might not be an actual person. It might be an AI and everything like that. So they have just released that today. So what is our thought about another chance for AI to take over our jobs?
The tech writer, Cory Doctorow, says that AI doesn't have to be as good as you are at your job. All it has to do is it has to convince your cheap ass bosses that it can do as good a job, which it doesn't.
Good point. Yeah, Sasha. By the way, that's a good point. Right?
I would recommend those people who are following the markets these days, I would recommend to exclude AI from your vocabulary for some time, because the stock market, one of the reasons, not the only, but one of the reasons, main reasons, the stock market is collapsing is dissatisfaction and disillusionment of the AI tweet. Companies like Google, Meta, others are spending hundreds of billions of dollars. And when the question comes, okay, so you invested $800 billion And what is the return on that money this year, next 5 years, next 25 years? What is the return? How much and which way? Oh, well, everybody's doing that. We have to do it not to stay behind. Okay, so everybody is doing that. This is why the GDP 4.3% is the bogus. There is no even positive GDP number. It's rather negative because all that reflects activities of AI trade, where NVIDIA is making an announcement of investing $100 billion into AI, OpenAI. Well, several months passed by. So when NVIDIA was asked about how is it going, this investment, say, oh, you know what? It was a letter of intent. There was there was no obligation for us discussion, and for now, it's not going anywhere. We don't know. Maybe we will revive it, maybe not. So most of this is becoming really mm, kind of a manipulation of everything, including AI trade, and that's why all the stocks are going down these days, and the bottom is not near there. It's going down, and unless we will start hearing about stockbrokers climbing and falling from 31st floor, somebody killed himself because of the losses in the stock market. When we will hear that, that would indicate that the bottom is near, but it's not happening here. So the stock market go down every day 2 to 3% until.
Well, speaking of things being at the bottom, apparently, and I know you're not a big fan of it. I think that Jacoby and me both know people that are involved in this stuff, but it looks like Bitcoin has hit a major crisis, and there's even people in the Bitcoin field that are saying that they're in crisis and everything like that. So, what is our take? Because apparently Bitcoin fell below 70,000, and some people are calling this a crypto crisis and saying that it's getting scary for those that were into crypto. I never really got into it, but what is our thoughts around this?
Well, the Trump is a king of the crypto. So when crypto is going down from 70,000, but it's just the beginning, it has to go, according to charts, to 32 to 34,000 before it may stage some recovery. So those people who hold Bitcoin in hope that it will reverse, please don't do it to yourself. But you're for a big awakening.
But when crypto collapses, Trump doesn't put his own company's kids don't put their own money into crypto. They are given crypto and then they ride it for lending their names to a crypto scam, and then they ride it. And so when people lose their asses in crypto, the Trumps really aren't losing anything that they had in the first place.
Well, speaking of Trump and everything, that was the other story I was going to get to really quickly. It looks like the Trump is getting something that he wanted. He wanted it with Doge, but it looks like another news that came today is that they finally announced the overhaul of the U.S. government's civil service system, and that gives the president the power to hire and fire an estimated 50,000 career federal employees. So a bunch of federal employees are about to get canned. So what is our thoughts around this? Because this is something that they've been wanting to do, and it's actually one of the promises that he made that he was going to try to influence and get rid of the dead weight in government.
So Trump was the first president since Herbert Hoover in 1930 who left office the first time with negative jobs created. There were fewer people working when Trump left office in 2021 than when he started in 2017. He's going for it again. He's looking for a second consecutive term, a second term where he destroys jobs.
So the big thing is Trump holds a lot of firsts, and he's a bad businessman. And the dollar value has dropped the most up under him in his first term and his second term. The unemployment record is horrible under his first term and his second term. The manufacturing his manufacturing jobs have dropped off a cliff under his first term and under his second term. We're sitting on a bubble, as Sasha explained earlier, about what's going to happen with AI. The reason Bitcoin, Sasha also showed that there's a direct connection with what's happening with AI is also happening, is connected to what's happening to Bitcoin. So that bubble's about to burst, where NASDAQ dropped, 800 points over the past 2 days.
Just the beginning. It's just the beginning.
So that's about to really we're really in a bad spot, and he's laying off more people in government. If you look at what he did with USAID, which is actually going to hit over 9 million people by 2030, we're looking at 9 million deaths based off of what he did with USAID. And then you tie in the amount of kids that are going to be lost due to measles, which is an outbreak across the country. We've given the keys twice now to a man who bankrupted casinos, and we're expecting him to know what to do. This is why we are where we are. So yeah, the jobs, him laying off jobs, that's the way he ran his companies. His companies were family-owned businesses. He does not know how to handle conglomerates or large businesses. He ran family-owned businesses.
I saw all the list of the businesses that failed under Trump. There are more than 60 different businesses. It's Trump University, Trump Steaks, Trump Shoes, Trump Gold, Trump this. Just name it. Anything to put in front of it, Trump, it's a failure. He is just a failure in business sense. You know what? Sometimes I was looking even this pictures of him and Epstein. If you look carefully at Trump's face, it's a face of uneducated, very stupid teenager. That's basically the characteristic of him. And because his father supplied him with about $400 million, which he lost all of it by the year 2000. You can imagine this is the biggest loser of all time. There's no one who could exceed that. Thank you. And when you see that, and you put, some people voted for him in 2024. I will take a great pleasure to listen how these people will be punished on the stock market, how they will start jumping from 31st floors, and how they will prove themselves. That would be brilliant. I like the downturn in the stock market because it will punish his supporters just as well. Get ready, guys.
Yeah, we get ready. Hey, Nick, it sounds like you're having too much fun with the sound effects and everything like that. So I think Nick's over there having fun with the sound effects and enjoying the sound effects that he's found over there because he's found a new toy. Because Nick loves his new toys and everything like that. Jacoby, I did hear this rumor going on that after a while, since he's buying everything, that he's going to buy Pod TV and will have to be Trump all the time, every time, 24 hours and all along those times. So hopefully that will never happen. I do know this. That's why he just put that laughter, because I know Nick's not going to allow that to happen.
It was a little hard to hear over the sound effects.
Right. Yeah, well, we're going to wrap up. We'll try to have world politics at 5 o'clock. But yeah, Nick is enjoying those sound effects way too much and everything like that. But on that note, we're going to get ready to get on out of here. And we'll be back at 5 with world politics. I know we've got Coco Show. She's got a bunch of musicians that will be joining her and talking about what they've got going on. And then on Friday, we'll have more conversations, which I didn't get to, about Ukraine and what they've got going on, because apparently there's still talks about the nuclear pact and even these peace talks that are supposedly going on and all along those lines. But I know that you, Ivan, and Jonathan will be talking about that tomorrow, Sasha, in addition to recording the Czech show that will air on Saturday and everything like that. So looking forward to those shows, and can't wait to hear what games you and Ken came up with, because I know there'll be a lot of great games that have been in effect the last couple of weeks and everything like that. So looking forward to those conversations. So let's get on out of here, and I'll catch you gentlemen on tomorrow and actually later on this evening as well. So catch y'all at about 5 o'clock.